So, with the sea dragon god, like, ever lurking within us with Fairy Tail, this is when, I'd say, like, after we've had this kind of pacing, going on for a little bit with this arc so far, with 100-year quest, it was like, okay, yeah, now let's go and introduce some weird shit, and a lot of people were not expecting another generation, and especially Dragon Slayers, for this one, to be, this is one of the problem solvers right now. A third party, but there's a problem. They are fucking crazy, and they actually might be the reason why we're in a lot of this mess at the moment. And yeah, let's go and talk about Diablos, because one of the things with that is like, oh boy, Diablos, this guild, I think a lot of this is their fault, because they pissed off a lot of dragons, and especially they pissed off the wrong kinds of dragons. So that girl that we saw from the end of the last chapter, who was being used as a sacrifice to the sea dragon god, it was like, they were asking, like, what the hell's up with her? Like, her mark and everything is like, that, like, we don't know what's going on with her. Like, she looks like she's belonged to, like, a guild, and, like, she immediately just goes and says, you guys are humans, right? And all that, like, you three. Like, the time is approaching. I'm gonna have to ask you guys to stand back. And there's no other way to say it. This Leviathan just appears in front of the cage that is now about to devour. And this girl just straight up just breaks the cuffs and goes, stretches around. It's like, I've been waiting for the water dragon god. Like, let's go and have some fun. And this chick just starts going in, and like immediately, like, Gray's talking with, like, the fish guy's like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, the water dragon gods, like, you know, the water god has, like, descended upon them. And this girl she's crazy. She's like, yo, this bitch will stab me in my sleep, kind of, like, crazy way. She's doing, like, the tongue lick. She's, like, excited. She's, like, dancing around. Like, she's enjoying every single second of it. And it's just like, is this really one of the holy penetrates? Is this what they can do? And then she says those magic little words. Alright then, let's end this and all that. Like, I'm gonna slay you. Two giant concentrated, like, just raw energy just comes out, and then she says Dragon Slayer's secret technique. Right then, another Dragon Slayer has been introduced on that, and when we see just this insane move she does, like Blade Dragon Sword Dance, where she just cuts this thing up into literal pieces. Don't worry though, this isn't the dragon god like we're dealing with. This is just something completely else that she, like, even just admits, as she's just like, what the hell, she's a dragon slayer, what kind of dragon slayer is she? And just like, she just starts eating, like, the Leviathan, and is like, this and the dragon god, this is disappointing. I feel sick now. That, like, and then just starts charging at Natsu and the gang. It's like, that smell, like, you smell like a dragon, like, what's going on? And she just starts immediately attacking, like, Natsu and the gang, and I was like, and that's where I was like, okay, this bitch is crazy. She's just utterly, like, insane for a dragon slayer, and it's like, what the fuck is her deal then? Like, as we're, like, fighting her down, and, like, Natsu is, like, having, like, equal footing with her at the moment, where it's like, he immediately turns back straight into his normal form, like, Lucy turns him back, and both of them are kind of staring this down, and it's just like, yeah, you seem to have, like, taken my blade and, like, you know, unharmed, and it's like, what is with you? And then that's when, like, the series starts addressing, like, things, like, where it's like, oh, I guess, like, there are some interesting things I've heard about that there are those who are bequeathed with the powers of dragons, and they're called the first. The ones with the lacrimas are the second. Those that had both of these implemented into them were the third. And then I heard about in some far-off land that there were those created by magic power alone that serves as the fourth. Now, important thing to note about that, because I know some people obviously haven't seen Dragon Cry, that is full on referencing Dragon Cry right there. That is a huge plot point in that movie. So yes, when people were like, wait, did we just skip a generation? And it was like, no, there was the fourth generation in the movie, which were just Lacrima soldiers that had this kind of power. Like, where it wasn't being implemented by a human host, it was just pretty much more of a tool, a shell to deal with the scenario. And then it's like, so then we're the fifth, I guess you could say. Those who who ate the dragon's power and took it upon themselves. The 5th generation, the Dragon Eaters. As she's like licking and just going crazy. And it's like, so that is 5 generations of Dragon Slayers here. And she was like, I thought, that's a shame, I could really get like a immense power by eating these drakes, but it seems the serpent was not one of them. And it's like, why the hell do you want to eat, like, why do you want to do this? It's like, who the hell does this kind of shit? And it's just like, that's just how our guild are. Like, my guild is of only Dragon Eaters too, the Mage Guild of Diablos. So, I was wondering where I saw that symbol and all that. I was like, I know fucking Mashima is like a big Monster Hunter now, but it's like, oh, that looks like a fucking old Monster Hunter symbol right there. And it's like, and the Diablos is a huge reference as well to obviously to one of the more powerful wyverns in that series. And I feel like that's the one thing he's going with this. And I'm like, a fucking Dragon Eater? Like, I'm like, all right then, that's a huge jump from. Considering that we, like, the most powerless generation was supposed to be, like, Sting and Rogue, because they were like, we were taught by dragons, but then we were also as well had the Lacrima placed in, like, in them. And the 4th one was always kind of, like, at least from what we saw of them, they were that they were stronger than most normal soldiers, but they were never, like, that kind of way, because they didn't have a proper host body to them, and they were never really fully implemented well in, like, in the country, so a 5th generation on there where not only like does this chapter give us a sign that it's like these are the fucking people that are causing this the problem right now, it's because they want power. Now the question is, how many of these Dragon Eaters are there? How many members are there of Diablos? Because this is the reason why that they're gonna we're gonna have this issue right now, and it also lays down the question is like, these guys can be a problem solver, because that means additional Dragon Slayers to the party, where it's like this is going to help resolve the issue that we've been having, where it's like it is just Natsu and Wendy right now, and they're wanting us to fight Dragon Gods, and it's like, let's see what a 5th generation can do compared to the 1st and all the others. Definitely, if anything, how we rank the Dragon Slayers, it's always been 4th generation has always been the weakest. That's just been apparent. Even in Dragon Right, it was very much apparent that, regardless that, how it was, the 4th generation was always considered, the weakest ones out of them all. And then afterwards, from there, it's very much a toss-up between second, the 2nd and the 3rd, mainly just due to the Grand Magic games, because we've seen how Laxus handled things, which is with how he was, comparing, we never really got a full fight between him and Rogue, so but we've had a comparison obviously between the 1st and the 3rd generation, which twice we've seen them being completely just manhandled by Natsu and Gargiel. So it's always more apparent that the original Dragon Slayers are still the most powerfulest. I want to know exactly, because it really does depend on what kind of dragons that they get. If we're talking about they never fucked with anything like Weiss Logia or any of these kind of things, but this could explain why Diablos has clearly messed up this continent, what they've done with Ishka and everything, what they've done with all of these continents, where it's this is why we don't hear a lot about dragons as well, because on the other side of the continent you hear some crazy fuckers that have been yeah, no wonder you don't see them, because we eat them, and also as well there was a giant holy war, there's so much shit with this chapter that going down, but hey, at least we now know her name. Her name's she's the Blade Dragon, Kyria, or Kyria, which always reminds me of that girl from Devil May Cry 4, Kyria, on there, Johnny on Bosch's girlfriend in that game. I don't even remember. It's Nero's love interest the most, but it's that. One, I don't mind the design. I thought that was this really cool ancient tribal kind of attire that she's going for, and then it was oh, okay, the Blade Dragon, that. So we've kind of, I guess we abandoned most of the elements a while ago, where it was just don't worry about that. Some dragons that. I mean, the fuck's sake, Agnologia was just considered the magic dragon. He was just none of the elements all together, and it's we've seen we've seen time and space, we've seen stars, we've seen all kinds of magic on there. But Blade, it was an intro, and what kind of dragon was that there? It makes me wonder, and it's this is why this is why a lot of them are we need to take care of this shit, because now with the fact that the ceiling and everything, it's like, these, depending on the answers and depending on the people, if everyone's as crazy as her in that guild, because clearly, like, you gotta be a little bit cray-cray to, like, fuck with the dragon, so, yeah. It's interesting that honestly, I didn't expect that it was like, we're gonna go for another generation of Dragon Slayers, but then it's like, how do we up the antes? It's like, by having, how we try and do it. We did it originally, where it's like, we have more Dragon Slayers, but this time, this is gonna be a little bit different, because, again, it's still one of the problems with the Grand Magic games is how Sting and Rogue eventually became. I think they, overall, like, they improved afterwards, but, like, for the arc that was really dedicated to them, for me, for the most part, it's like they had a lot of issues, like, and now it's like, we're not really going to be seeing that. I felt like they improved kind of like in Tyrus and a little bit later on, like, where they kind of had more of the feel for what exactly they wanted to be, and then not be like some little edgy little twats, and then they actually start being real people. So, like, it was like, oh shit, yeah, no, let's actually, like, not be pricks 24/7 because we're hot shit. So we'll see. But definitely, Kyria is an interesting one. I want to see the rest of Diablos on there. I guess maybe as well because I have played a shit ton of Monster Hunter World at the moment. I just thinking a lot of their designs are based off like something else. So like maybe she's like she ate a dragon that looked a lot like that water one from whatever it was from 3U, and then let's see if like some of them fucked with a Rathalos or an Anjanath or like a literal Diablos, because those things are absolute pricks, or a Xenojiva. Like let's go and like get some really weird dragon designs and stuff. Like I want to see like what exactly it can do. And another one to be comparing to is, alright then, where do they stand up to Irene? Where do they stand up to like the queen of the mother of all dragons? Where do they stand up with like I'd say Atlas Flame, going around about that area? Like, are they as strong as him, or a Dragon King? Like we'll have to see like going on there. But definitely this was an interesting chapter, I think, as well as we'll mention that like the pacing was a little thing that we mentioned, where it's like I'm not used to like Fairy Tail being a little bit more slower than it originally is, but now with this chapter, with like we're already like what, like 6 chapters in for the most part, I'm like, oh, there we go. That for a lot of people that were like, it's like pacing a little weird, no, it just kind of like went like that, just straight ahead, and I was like, no, deal with this Dragon Slayer right now. So overall, I definitely really enjoyed this chapter. There's not too much else to say. Like I felt like it was a pretty quick chapter for this one to read, where I was like, holy shit, this one's going full throttle at the point where it's like, let's see what we're gonna be doing with the Blade Dragon. But that is all from me. Thanks always for watching, and I'll see you guys though next time.